Ini namaskar. Kamu tahu apa dasar dia? Asing bilang berapa? Morning. Let's start the daily discussion. Topic that will get today the India, Middle East, Europe, Mega Economic Corridor. India, Middle East, Europe, Mega Economic Corridor. So, Northern Corridor is from India. This will connect is the Middle East. Connecting India, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Italy, France, and Germany. Okay. So, finally, if you join from India to UAE to Saudi Arabia to Jordan to Israel to France to from here pass through beach connecting to. Okay. Prime Minister Modi announced the launch of the India Middle East Europe Mega Economic Corridor. Okay. Okay. So on the sideline of the G20 summit, because so India was the 20 summit and the global leaders ready, and on the sideline of the G20 summit, sideline of the G20 summit, the Indian Prime Minister declared the announced about the India Middle East Europe Mega Economic project aims to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative, the Belt Road Initiative (BRI), includes India, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, European Union, France, Italy, Germany, and the US. So, detail about the project, part of the Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment (PGII). This is part of the Partnership for Global Infrastructure Investment (PGII). The rail and shipping corridor. That means rail transport will be developed as well as waterway or shipping will be developed through this. Okay. So rail transport and shipping corridor is part of the PGII, a collaborative effort of G7 nations on infrastructure developing. The G7 developed countries will help or collaborate in infrastructure projects in the developing nations. This project will also called the green and digital bridge across continents and civilization. Called as a green and digital bridge. But it is called as a green and digital bridge across continent and civilization. Okay. The corridor will include a rail link as well as an electricity cable, okay, a hydrogen pipeline, and a high-speed data cable. Okay. The corridor will include a rail link as well as an electricity cable, a hydrogen pipeline, and a high-speed data cable. One proposed project would link railway and port across the Middle East, including the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel. It would speed up trade in India and Europe up to by 40% because facilitate faster trade in India and the Europe by up to 40%. Route the plan seek to bolster trade between India and Middle East as well as Europe. So both Middle East and Europe. So it will be so that the sea route. This is the rail route and the sea route. B is the sea route because that is not connected. This is the sea route and again this is the rail route. It is simultaneous route, interconnected one. Establish a modern day spice route the, that the plan is expected to be a possible game changer for global trade, presenting an alternative to China's wide-ranging strategic infrastructure investment. The corridor would increase prosperity among the countries involved by increasing the flow of energy and digital communication. So this will be a route where that the plan is expected to be a possible game changer for global trade, presenting an alternative to China's wide-ranging strategic infrastructure investment. The corridor could increase prosperity among the countries involved by increasing the flow of energy and digital communication. Project would help to address the lack of infrastructure needed for growth in lower and middle income nations. So, because these low and middle income countries are facing Okay. So it will help establish that region as a hub for economic activity instead of as a source of challenge, conflict, or crisis. Okay. So the enhanced infrastructure to boost economic growth help bring countries in the Middle East together. This project comes at a time when Saudi Arabia and UAE, both old allies of USA, have been strengthening their ties with China. Okay. These countries seek to enhance relations with rapidly growing Eastern economies. Fine, because UAE and Saudi Arab are right now with China. Okay, so they want to enhance relations with rapidly economy like China and India. Okay. China has also boosted ties with the Middle East of late, helping to broker a deal with Saudi Arabia and Iran earlier this year. During BRICS Summit 2023, the oil-rich Gulf states announced their intention to join the grouping, with China playing a leading role in this move. Okay. In the BRICS Summit 2023, BRICS added six new countries. Okay. So they and some of them are here also. The plan is being seen as an ambitious effort by Washington to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative that sought to connect more of the world to the countries. Of late, China's Belt Road Initiative has seen the troubles due to rising loan defaults and slowing down on investment because the BRI, which was taken very positively in the beginning, is being taken otherwise because through this policy, China is promoting debt trap for the country where it has invested. So the investment it has invested and right now it is trying to take. So of late, China's BRI କ୍ଲାସରେ ଅଛି କ୍ଲାସରେ ଅଛି ମୋତେ 1 hour ଲାଗିବ ବାହାରେ ଅଛି ବାହାରେ ଅଛି ମୋତେ ଘଣ୍ଟାଟେ ଲାଗିବ ଯିବା ପାଇଁ କ୍ଲାସରେ ଅଛି ଜାଣିନି ତୁମେ ସାଢ଼େ ଗୋଟେ ପରେ ଆସ With the BRICS Summit 2023, the oil-rich Gulf states announced their intention to join the group. China playing a leading role in this because all those oil-rich countries join BRICS are supported by China. The plan is being seen as an ambitious effort by the Washington to counter China's Belt and Road Initiative that sought to connect more of the world to the country's economy. Of late, China's BRI has been facing a series of problems due to rising loan defaults and slowing down on investment. Significance for India. India was anxious about China's connectivity project in the region under its decade-old Belt and Road Initiative, which India is opposing from the beginning, and India has not participated in the BRI initiative of China. It was also frustrated by Pakistan's refusal to allow overland access. Pakistan is not allowing overland access to India. Its quest for credible connectivity to Iran into the Eurasian landmass did not yield much result. Okay. So Tehran is more open to India, but its confrontation with the West has cast a shadow over the commercial utility of the corridors across Iran into Eurasia. Because although Iran is well familiar with India, but Iran is not in good terms with the Western country led by USA. Okay. Okay. So, in case of this, it will be better. Against this backdrop, India finally found a formula to connect to both Arabia and Europe through this economic corridor. See several new geopolitical trends underlined by Middle East, Europe mega economic corridor breaks the myth that in India, US can work together in the Middle East. Conventional wisdom in Delhi said India and the United States might work together in the Indo-Pacific, but had little in common in the Middle East. Okay. So they can work. There is a myth that India and USA can work in the Indo-Pacific region, but they cannot work in the Middle East. This is going to be break by this particular initiative. That myth was broken when India and the United States joined hands with Israel and the United Arab Emirates to set up the I2U2 India, Israel, USA, and UAE Forum. I2U2, this one. But this I2U2 one. So here I2 means India and Israel and UAE and USA. To develop a few joint economic projects. So India Arabia Europe corridor could turn out to be far more consequential after this I2U2. So break Pakistan's veto since 1990, Islamabad were adamant in its refusal to let India gain access to land of Afghanistan and Central Asia. India's strategic engagement with the Arabian Peninsula. The Indian government now has an opportunity to build enduring connectivity India and the Arab countries. Current project will restore India's role as a driver in shaping regional connectivity, mobilization of Europe into infrastructure development in the region. The corridor also marks the mobilization of Europe into the infrastructure development in the region. European money will be used in massive infrastructure development in this region. So it will be completely new and bring a big transformation. Okay. So Europe into infrastructure development in the region. Right now, Europe will be involved in massive infrastructure creation, the poor country, the developing country of the world. European Union has earmarked 300 million euro for infrastructure spending worldwide during 2021 to 27. 300 million euros. Support to the new corridor will make the EU a major stakeholder in integrating India with Arabia and Europe because European Union has earmarked a huge amount for infrastructure development in this continent. This project will be able to find arrange the fund for this. Okay. Then the next topic is very important. The G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration. The leaders at the G20 Summit 2023 arrived at a joint communique called the G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration. A significant victory for India's G20 presidency that came amid increasing tension, divergent views over the Ukraine conflict. But the issues are the New Declaration on the Ukraine war. All states must act in a manner consistent with purposes and principles of UN Charter in its entirety. They must refrain from threat or use of force to seek traditional acquisition against territorial integrity and sovereignty or political independence of any state. Also, from use or threat of use of nuclear weapons in is inadmissible. Peaceful resolution of conflict and efforts to address crisis as well as diplomacy and dialogue are critical for this. There were different views of assessment of the situation in Ukraine. Today's era must not be the era of war. This is the slogan. Today's era must not be of war, rather for peace. On grain, food, and energy security, calls on Russia and the Ukraine to ensure immediate and unimpeded deliveries of grains, foodstuffs, and fertilizers inputs from the Russia and Ukraine, because Russia ignored the Black Sea Grain Initiative, okay, putting the severe challenge into the global community, the food crisis. The summit has signed has promoted Russia and Ukraine to ensure immediate and unimpeded delivery of grains, foods, and fertilizer inputs Russia and Ukraine, emphasizing importance of sustaining food and energy security, called for cessation of military destruction or other attack on relevant infrastructure, especially food and that supply chain infrastructure. Potential for high level of volatility in food and energy market remains. On economy and financial market, will protect the vulnerable through equitable growth and enhancing macroeconomic and financial stability. Reaffirm April 2021's exchange rate commitment made by G20 finance ministers and central bank governors, and endorse financial stability board high level recommendations for regular supervision and oversight of crypto asset activities. Enhance finance ministers and central bank governor will discuss taking forward the cryptocurrency roadmap at their meeting in October. Renew our commitment to ensure a level playing field and fair compensation by discouraging protectionism, market distorting practices. On climate change, need to accelerate effort to phase out unabated coal power, aligned with the national circumstances, because coal is the major fossil fuel being burned for energy right now. Okay. So, need for accelerate effort to phase down unabated coal power in line with national circumstances. Okay. So, Okay, will work towards facilitating how cost financing for developing countries support their transition to low carbon, because right now we should stick to low carbon. Will pursue and encourage efforts to triple renewable energy capacity, okay, energy capacity globally through existing targets and policies in line with national circumstances by 2030. Okay, so by that, okay, reiterate our commitment to take action to scale up sustainable finance, reiterate use of carbon pricing and non-pricing mechanism and incentive towards carbon neutrality and net zero emission standard, recognize need for increased global investment to meet our climate goals of the Paris Agreement, because at the Paris Climate Conference 2015, the global community agreed to reduce temperature by 1.5 to. Okay, so reiterate use of carbon pricing and non-pricing mechanism and incentive okay, and incentives towards carbon neutrality and net zero emission, recognize need for increased global investment to meet our climate goals under the Paris Agreement for the global climate fund, okay, of green climate fund of $100 billion need to be activated to meet the climate challenges of the poor countries. Not needed of 5.8 to 5.9 trillion in the 2030 period required for developing countries, in particular for their need to implement their emission targets. Call on party to set an ambitious, transparent, and trackable new collective qualified goal of climate finance in 2024 from a floor of 100 billion a year. Okay, on global debt vulnerabilities, commit to promising resilient growth by urgently and effectively addressing debt vulnerabilities in developing countries. Call for swift conclusion of the debt treatment of Ethiopia. On health, remain committed to strengthening global health architecture, to enhance resilience of health system and support development of climate resilient and low carbon health system in collaboration with multilateral banks. So this is the main declaration or main content of the New Delhi Declaration signed by the member participating countries at the just concluded G20 summit. Uniqueness of the declaration: the community is filled with deliverables on a range of issues. Okay, the communique is filled with deliverables on a range of issues. It is also crafted in a different way, not the usual paragraphs that are structured in a joint declaration. Instead, start with a preamble and then has 10 chapters and end with a conclusion. On Ukraine, the big speaking point was the Ukraine-Russia conflict, which was addressed in detail in 7 paragraphs. This is much more elaborate than the Bali declaration, which are just 2 paragraphs. The Russia-Ukraine paragraph did not condemn Russia for its action, nor did it call it an aggression, but the West also got what it wanted: strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. It talked about the global economic situation, advancing financial inclusion, and fighting corruption. It vowed to implement the action plan against fugitive economic offenders, that means who have borrowed huge money and left the country, like Vijay Mallya and the Mel 60 and Nirav Modi. Okay, that will help strengthen international cooperation and information sharing. Accelerating progress on sustainable development goal by United Nations. United Nations has set the SDG goal between 2015 to 2030. The 17 goals are the global target for the global community for sustainable development. It's about eliminating hunger and malnutrition, health collaboration, and delivering quality education among others. One of the important element is on how future pandemics can impact the economy. It also brings out the gaps in the existing pandemic response mechanism, including institutional. Okay. The important element is on how future pandemic can impact the economy, which also brings out the gaps in the existing pandemic response mechanism, institutional and funding arrangement. Based on the pandemic, the two major requirements are including institutional mechanism, creating the institutions and arranging the funds. On education, it talked about enhancing teachers' capacity, improve curricula content in local language, the access to digital resources. This will ensure that all children, including the most marginalized, are provided with the essential building blocks for all future learning. Green Development Pact for a Sustainable Future, it stresses the need to implement clean, sustainable, just, affordable, and inclusive energy transitions. One important element is the mention of the need to build reliable, diverse, responsible, and sustainable value chains of critical minerals, semiconductors, and related technologies. Multilateral institutions for the 21st century. It speaks of reforming international financial institutions. One of the most important elements is that reform of the UN Security Council was agreed to for the first time in the G20. The most important development, the G20 leaders agreed for the reforms in the United Nations General Security Council, which is long pending demand since so many years, more than 2 decades. And there was a strong push towards reform for better, bigger, and more effective multilateral development banks. They also called for managing debt vulnerabilities of low and middle income countries and the start of exchange of tax relevant information on crypto asset by 2027, because crypto investments are growing. So the tax relevant information on crypto assets are to be shared in the countries to better bring transparency and uh, tax accountability among the investors or in the economy. Technological transformation and digital public infrastructure. This chapter contains element of building digital public infrastructure, crypto assets, and harnessing artificial intelligence responsibility. Uh, all on AI, they agreed to pursue a pro-innovation regulatory governance approach that maximizes the benefits and takes into account the risk associated with the use of AI. The G20 leaders agreed on a G20 framework for digital public infrastructure and global digital public infrastructure repository. So, global digital public infrastructure repository. The framework calls for building interoperable solutions and formulating laws that can ensure that the DPIs are safe, secure, trusted, and governed transparently. It also talked about a comprehensive toolkit which is aimed at improving cyber education and cyber awareness for the protection and empowerment of children and youth. Another key win for the India's G20 presidency to gather consensus around creating a global regulatory framework for crypto assets. So India has made the proposal to create a global regulatory framework for the crypto assets, which was accepted. Okay, they endorsed the Financial Stability Board's high-level recommendations for the regulation, supervision, and oversight of the crypto asset activities. Gender equity and empowering all women and the girls promotes equal right to economic resources, property, ownership, financial services, and inheritance for women. It also supports women's organization and network and closing gender gaps in agricultural access. The India's G20 presidency, a decision to create a full-fledged working group on women empowerment has been made. The group will prioritize gender equality, women's empowerment, and leadership for bring convergence across sector at all levels. On countering terrorism and money laundering, contains a strong condemnation of terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, and a positive message towards international peace and security. Okay. Creating a more inclusive world, India's G20 presidency has paved the way for the African Union's permanent membership in G20. Okay, so for the first time, so a group of the African Union has given a permanent membership at the G20 summit under Indian proposal. To make G20 more inclusive, deepen cooperation with Africa and help realize its development aspirations. Also, there is a commitment to promote respect for religious and cultural diversity. It deplores all acts of religious hatred, including against religious symbols and holy books. From Delhi, a vision for Brazil, South Africa, and USA. In conclusion, there is a new, broader takeaway that this summit projected. A strong commitment for future presidencies, including for the new cycle beginning in 2020, Brazil in 2024, South Africa in 2025, and the USA in 2026. There is recognition of all engagement groups and initiatives of India's G20 presidency by conducting over 200 meetings in 60 cities across India. New Delhi has set a new temple and a high bar of taking G20 to the people. The democratization of diplomacy is a key takeaway from this successful exercise. Because the previous host only just arranged the meeting for 2 days in a prime location, and but the global leaders attended. But India, since the last 6 months, been going on arranging different conclaves. Okay, spread of so around 200 meetings into 60 cities across India, thereby involving each nook and corner of India in the G20 activities. So the democratizing diplomacy is a takeaway from this successful exercise. Then the next topic is an environment, the Swachh Vayu Sarvekshan 2023. Okay. So according to the Swachh Vayu Sarvekshan 2023, Chandigarh ranks 22nd out of 42 cities with a population of about 10 lakhs. Summary of the report. So at the top is Indore, then is Agra, Thane, and Amravati, Moradabad, Guntur, Parwan, Kala Ambo, and Angul. Okay. Category 1, Category 2. In Category 1, the top three are Indore, Agra, Thane. In Category 2, Amravati, Moradabad, and Guntur. Category 3, Parwano, Kala and Angul, Odisha. Okay. So, coming to this assessed by cities, assessed by the Central Board, Indore 191, okay, when is 187. Bhopal was 187 to 181. Okay, and Jabalpur 170 to 172 remain. Gwalior 171 to 114. Okay, so category 2 is Devas 181 to 180. Category 2 is Ujjaini 189 to 182. Sagar 188.2 to 170.7. Fine. According to the research, Indore ranked first among cities with more than 10 lakh people for Agra and Thane. Okay. So Chandigarh received 174 points out of a possible 200, while Indore received 187, Agra received 186, and Thane received 185.5. Chandigarh failed to make the top 10, and Delhi got 9th place with a score of 177. Survive. In the category of towns with fewer than 3 lakh people, the Parwan in Himachal Pradesh took first place with a score of 193.6, followed by Kalaam with 193. Badi in Himachal Pradesh was ranked 12th with a score of 171.2, while Nalgad was ranked 13th with a score of 165. Similarly, Derabasi in Mohali district is 37th with a score of 93.40 cities category. Swachh Vayu Surveillance ranking of cities is administered by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change as part of the National Clean Air Program (NCAP). The Swachh Vayu Surveillance program is covered by the subcomponent 3 national and state level interventions and public outreach activities of the component National Mission for Clean Air of the Central Sector Scheme Control of Pollution. Okay. So, because pollution is the big challenge, so Swachh Vayu, how far we are able to provide clean air to the citizens or the inhabitants of the area, that matters. Okay. Objective to raise awareness among all segments of society, to raise awareness among all the parts of the society, to inform citizens about the health exposure to good air or bad air, to compare air quality situation in different locations, cities, and to accomplish the NCAP goal of clean air to all. It included the Swachh Vayu Survey can promote the ranking of 131 cities in the country for following city action plans developed as part of the National Clean Air Program (NCAP), with the goal of reducing air pollution by 40% by 2025-26. Evaluation standards: population of 131 cities is divided into three subgroups. 47 cities with population greater than 10 lakhs and include the first group. The second group includes 44 cities with population ranging between 3 to 10 lakhs. The third group is made of 40 cities with population less than 3 lakhs. City must conduct self-assessment using the frameworks applied on a PRAN web portal. This evaluation is done once a year. Cities must report on the implementation of activities and measures taken in the areas of solid waste management, road dust management, construction and demolition waste management, vehicular emission control, and industrial pollution. This encourages constructive rivalry in the spirit of competitive federalism to enhance air quality. This surveillance gives cities a tool of planning activities to improve air quality. The ranking of cities is not dependent on the assessment of air quality measures. It is based on activities performed by cities to improve their air quality in several fields. The step made by cities could result in better air quality, thus provides a planning and execution tool for improving air quality as well as an assessment of how well cities have synchronized their action to improve air quality. However, better performing cities, the top three cities in each category will be rewarded with a monetary prize, a trophy, and recognition from the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India. Fine. The recognition, a certificate with a title National Clean Air City issued by the National Mission for Clean Air on September 7th, the inclusion of clean air for blue skies will also be given to them. Then the Bangalore Jol, Bangalore Marti slogan, the West Bengal Assembly adopted resolution recognizing the Poila Baishak, 15th, April 15th as Statehood Day, and Bangalore Marti, Bangalore Jol as the state anthem. Rabindranath Tagore wrote the Bangalore Marti, Bangalore Jol during the partition of Bengal in 1905. The song invokes the beauty of Bengal, natural surroundings, language, people, and the soul, to ask for unity among all Bengalis. The partition of Bengal, Cordon partitioned Bengal among communal lines in 1905 countered the Swadeshi movement. The arrangement divided the predominantly Muslim eastern portion from the predominantly Hindu western areas. East Bengal was Muslim majority and West Bengal was Hindu majority. Region Bengal was the north core of India's emerging nationalist movement at that time, and Gordon's move attempted to sow seed of division and hatred among the heterogeneous Bengali speaking population because to checkmate the Swadeshi movement of the period, Lord Gordon, the then Governor General, has done this. So, through this song and poems, Tagore supported the Swadeshi movement. He wrote the anthem of the time, Banglar Mati, Banglar Jol. It was chanted during raucous processions, demonstrations, highlight Bengali solidarity. Tagore's composition, Almor Amar Sona Bangla, My Golden Bengal, was later adopted as Bangladesh national anthem. This period's Tagore songs represent this goal of international brotherhood and religious oneness. Even today, they ring true for Bengalis on both sides of the border because part is West Bengal remained in India, East Bengal became Bangladesh. Okay. Then the next topic, the first choice is the incremental capital reserve ratio. Okay, incremental cash reserve ratio (ICCRR), as we discussed yesterday. Reserve Bank of India announced that it pays out the incremental cash reserve ratio, which it launched the light of this rupee 2000 notes being surrendered before the bank. The RBI recently implemented the ICRR to observe excess generated by numerous sources, including the return of the 2000 notes to the banking system. The regulator stated that the ICRR was only a temporary remedy. ICCR was introduced by the RBI as a temporary solution to observe excess liquidity in the banking sector because commercial bank, after returning the 2000 rupees note, were flooded with huge amount of cash reserve. So that is our liquidity. That is why the ICRR was introduced to increase the CRR to 10%. Surplus liquidity in the system increase the result of the following factors: the return of housing banknotes to the banking system, the RBI surplus transfer to the government, an increase in government spending, and capital inflows. The effect of ICCR on liquidity condition: following the RBI's ICCR rule, the banking system's liquidity went into deficit for the first time in the current fiscal year. Outflow due to goods and service tax and the central bank selling dollars to arrest the rupee's depreciation also contributed to the tight liquidity situation. Concerning the cash reserve ratio, the cash reserve ratio is the percentage of total deposit the banks must keep in cash with the Reserve Bank of India. It is necessary to made for keeping the banking system healthy. This sum cannot be used for lending or investment by banks. CRR is currently 4.5%. Then the Hunga Tonga volcano. A new study shows that the rock and ash injected during the Hunga Tonga volcanic eruption. Okay. A new study shows that the rock and ash injected during the Hunga Tonga volcanic eruption collapsed vertically and directly into the ocean and traveled as the extreme fast moving and highly destructive underwater debris flow. For the Hunga Tonga volcano, Hunga Apti is a volcanic island in the Tonga. It is located about 30 kilometers south of the Sahara volcano of the now foam and 12 kilometers north of the Tonga Tapu and the country's main island. The volcano is part of the highly active Tonga Kermit Island volcanic arc, a subduction zone extending from the New Zealand northeast to Fiji. Island arc is formed at the convergent boundary where the Pacific plate subducts under the Indo-Australian plate, which along with the caldera ring of the much larger submarine edifice in the western South Pacific Ocean. It has erupted regularly over the past few decades. Then the Salem Sago from Tamil Nadu has been designated as a geographical indicator. The Sago Manufacturers Service Industrial Cooperative Society of Salim, Sago Service Limited, popularly known as Limited, recently received the geographical indication. Salim Sago has a geographical indication designation. Sago, which is made from uncooked tapioca, okay, come in the form of little hard granules of grains made of pulse and is pearl white in color. The tapioca is a prominent horticultural crop grown on almost 3 lakh hectares in India. Tamil Nadu with a crop yield of 60 lakh tons. The Salim district, Tamil Nadu, has previously acquired the GI designation for the raw silk. The Malgoba mango, so contributing to the region's nation. Other prominent products from various locations, the Tirupati Laddu and the Palani Panchamitram, are also being assigned the GI tag. Tamil Nadu makes major contribution to the national economy. Tamil Nadu Salim is leader in sago production. Sago Sarba is a cooperative society that was founded in 1981. Okay. So it is a very healthy food and easy to digest and good for health. So it is normally consumed by the patients even in the hospitals. Okay. Okay. So coming to the question, do you think that consistency and continuity are the most remarkable attributes of ethical principles? Should future generations refine or replace norms, principles, moral criteria with new experiences and insight. Support your stand by example. Okay. Okay. So the man who never. So the man who never alter his opinion is like standing water and breeds reptiles of the mind. English poet William Black. Production. So consistency means the absence of discontinuity. It is associated with being continuous in action. Continuity is being regular in action. Ethical people, okay, who are dutiful reflect these principles in action. Right? Continuity is being regular in action. Ethical people who are dutiful reflect this action. For example, a spiritual person always works to achieve truth and justice. The administrator with high moral values holds honesty and integrity always to work for the common good. The action never got influenced by any political interference or influence, power, or money. On one hand, where consistency and continuity of action is essential, on the other hand, it is not always necessary to be consistent and continuous in every sense. For example, by talking about a social practice such as child marriage, so it is still a part of society in some of the most backward regions in India, Rajasthan. But this does not need to be consistent in any way. Rather, our action should be consistent in removing such unethical and regressive practice. Just the contradiction. Future generation norms, principle, and moral criteria. People's value tend to change over time as well. Material development makes us more self-centric and goal-oriented. In pursuit of success, people compete with each other and often adopt unethical practices. For example, to get a government tender or international tender, people or government bribe officials. Recently, the Indian government was accused of giving power tender to Adani Group. Okay. To gain electoral success, politicians bribe people with money or play politics of appeasement. Politicians in Andhra and Tamil Nadu have been accused of influencing voters during elections. Progress of science is also making people more selfish. Scientists, policymakers, and suppliers often neglect the impact of genetically modified crops and are often found guilty of mixing modified seeds with the generic seeds without approval. Okay. In doing so, we often forget about the ethical and moral principles and values that are essential for categorizing humans as human beings and not just being. In pursuit of success, we cannot leave the ethical principles behind. We cannot accept to be unethical. The values of honesty, compassion, mercy, self-control have always been in existence and need to be continuous and consistent irrespective of where we head and where we stand. Okay. Then coming to the MCQs, the 21st edition of Varuna 23 bilateral exercise was conducted in the Arabian Sea. Okay. So, and it is an India-French naval exercise. So both 1 and 2 are correct. So Varuna is India and France naval joint naval exercise. Consider the Salim Sago. Salim Sago has a GI geographical indication designation, right? Sago, which is made from the cook tapioca, comes in form of little hard globular or grains. Okay, okay. Tapioca is prominent horticultural crop. Okay, so it's made from the cook. So it is made not by the uncooked, not cooked. Okay. So that means option 2 is incorrect. So 1 and 3 are correct. And 3 means C. It is not cooked, uncooked. Topia coach. Topia plus. Okay. So consider the following statement regarding the nation first transit card launched by the State Bank of India. That is uh, first transit card launched by State Bank of India. Okay. So, right, the nation first transit card is powered by RuPay and National Common Mobility Card technology, right? Aims to simplify digital ticket fare payment within a single card. Various transport modes including metro, buses, water ferries, parking, etc. All the three are correct. Which state will host the Giant Charity Marathon in 2024? We hosted by Kerala. Recently, the West Bengal Assembly adopted resolution recognizing that Poila Vaishak on 15th April as Native Day. Consider the following statement: the West Bengal Assembly adopted resolution recognizing Bangla Mati Bangla Jal as the state anthem. Right? Rabindranath Tagore wrote Bangla Mati Bangla Jal to the partition of Bengal in 1905. Here both are correct. Question 5, both 1 and 2 are correct. Recently, at the Asia India Summit, Prime Minister Modi has announced that it will establish Indian embassy keyboard list. Consider the following statement: Asian admit keyboard list as its 11th member, right? Okay. It is a landlocked country. No. So, but one is correct, but two is incorrect. Okay. So here only one is correct. A is the right answer. Consider the so ASEAN has 10 members. With addition of the more, ASEAN became a 11th member group. Consider the following statement regarding the incremental gas reserve ratio (ICRR). The ICRR was introduced by the RBI. That's right. It is a permanent solution to observe excess in the banking sector. No, it is a temporary solution, not a permanent one. So two is incorrect. It also used for return of outflows to the banking sector because the ICRR was used implemented because the return of housing been so three is correct. One and three are correct means C is the right answer. Recently, Hunga Tonga Volcan erupted considerable. Hunga Tonga Tunga Hapai is a volcanic island in the Tonga, a subduction zone extending from New Zealand northeast to Fiji. That is right. Okay. The island arc is a form at the convergent boundary where the Pacific plate subducts under the Indo-Australian plate. So this is also right. So only both 1 and 2 are correct. Which of the following nation is part of the India Middle East Europe corridor? India will be there, USA will be there, Saudi Arabia will be there, France will be there. This was promoted under the G20 by India. All the four countries will be there. Consider the following statement regarding the one sun, one world, one grid OSOWOG. It is spread by the government of India and the USA in partnership with the Reliance. It is no, it is not USA but France. Aims at connecting energy across border by connecting different regional grids through a common grid. Two is correct. It is part of this solar lens which was floated by India and France at the Paris Climate Conference. So this is the next move of the one earth, one sun, one world, and grid. Okay. So this is India and France, not India and USA. So this ends our test discussion. Thank you for watching.